lost a woman. A whole woman.
I don't think there was a system that ever owned Albert. I know there was no system that ever owned Albert. I mean, he was free spirit.
Children, I take no responsibility for your safety.
Just die for us and save us from Bobble. Dumb Brillo pad, fathead.
All righty, all right.
I remember how we met. There used to be a permanent, almost round-the-clock party when Penny Marshall was married to Rob Reiner. Rob was doing All in the Family, and Penny, sort of late in this, was doing Laverne and Shirley, and I was doing the Mary Tyler Moore Show, and a bunch of primarily comedy people would flop there. We were, the rest of us were single, and we would be there all the time. And one night I came in, and Louise Lasser said, "You got to see this guy." And he was in the kitchen pretending to tell your future with card tricks. So I thought he was a magician, and then, of course, it was hilarious. I think it was, did Playboy do a profile of him? And the headline was, "The Funniest White Man in America." And I don't think anybody ever argued the truth of that. He's an absolutely original talent. He's an original filmmaker. I mean, what do we talk about when we talk about somebody who wrote, co-wrote in this, directed, starred in, and was frequently autobiographical? I say this as seriously as you can say something. Albert is a unique talent, and everything stems from that. I think all his films achieve his ambitions because he won't have it any other way. And I'm talking about the inner driving ambitions. Everybody wants success. Everybody wants it to work. Everybody wants people to like it. But he's a filmmaker. There's a film he has in his mind that he wants to get at. And I think he gets at it each time. And by the way, as somebody who's directed him, 4 years at one of the top acting schools in the country, and that's in there, and he's an actor. I remember that when I directed him, and he was brilliant. I mean, there was nobody else for it. It was written for him. He knew I was writing it for him as I went along. And some of the things he had to do, which was, he had to rip in Spanish. He had to sing a French song full out like he knew the language. And the romance in that character.
Sur un bout de musique, les beaux hommes puis au plein pour rien. J'ai de la Ouija pour les mauvaises nouvelles, elle m'en laissé tout seul avec mes ambitions derrière son visage, un paysage de neige, puis au plein pour rien.
I think one of the key things to Will Albert's movie is there's risk in it. And you can say there's risk in any movie, but the kind of risk he takes, because he's going after something, and expands the area, the comedy arena. He just does.
Ladies and gentlemen, could I have your attention, please?
Hey, Ray!
And I used to sometimes visit his movies as well, and he forced me to be in a couple of them. I think I'm briefly in this one.
Good luck.
I just went to the party. I was an extra, and several of our pals were extras. And it was great because we had fun. We were like at a party, And I broke up in the wee hours of the morning. We had talked with each other all night, and it was fun. In real life, I was a driving instructor, and I think I was in and out in 45 minutes. And our biggest argument over it is that I wanted $25 for using my car. Because I thought anybody gets $25 for that car.
In reverse and back in there. Okay, fine.
Modern Romance, I got fourth billing. I said whole sentences. Modern Romance was like a role. That's why I don't want to do it. I was instantly the problem actor. I was waiting outside his trail. Let me do it again. I know I can do better. I was that guy, and I felt the vulnerability of being an actor in front of a camera, having just so much time, and then the words, suddenly they're saying move on, and and you have to feel that to understand the vulnerability.
Okay, let me just ask you, how do you like the movie?
What do you mean?
Is it good?
Well, I think it's pretty good.
Pretty good.
Well, I mean, maybe it's great.
But thinking of it, he was always calm with me. I mean, much calmer than I was with him when I was directing him. He made me less insecure, the way he handled me. I sort of understood what he was after. He explained it to me. He was a patient director. Modern Romance is so damn brave in what you do with a hero. and that underbelly of men. It's a kind of guy who was who was a stalker almost, and yet you felt where he was coming from, what was inside him.
What are you doing here?
Where'd you get that dress?
I've had this dress. What are you doing here?
You're going out on a date, aren't you?
I think you should leave. This isn't fair. And you promised me you wouldn't bother me.
Well, wait, there's no fair or not fair here. Now, you have a date, right?
Robert, I'm closing the door.
Okay.
He goes so deep into jealousy that frequently it happened after that movie was out that a guy would come over and whisper to him so his girl didn't hear it. Boy, you got it right about it. The idea of directing yourself in a leading role always seems impossible to me. It is two places at once. It's Albert-esque, like Chaplin-esque, or, you know, Woody. It is like that. How do you set the camera and think of the shot, and having written the script and having to worry about the other actor and having to go through all the things you go through, and then step in front of the camera and be free? And he's free. I mean, wild freedom in this.
Oh, I can't quit now.
Yes, you can.
No, I can't.
I did.
I know, but even if I wanted to, my boss isn't here. There's no one I can quit to.
Well, it's time to get out. We have to touch Indians. We have to see the mountains and the prairies and the whole rest of that song.
So often in this movie, you've got to go to a place that's not quite comfortable for the joke to work, for the thing to work, for the point to happen. And he does. And to do that with people watching you and to care as much as Albert does, all these can be hurdles, and he just flies over them. And you see the humanity behind it, the heart behind it, and can I say a profane word? And always so fucking smart.
Why that house?
What?
I think it's too close to here. It's going to feel like the same neighborhood. Maybe we should have moved far away.
We needed more space, and that house has more space.
No, I know, but the purpose of a house is more than space. We could have rented a locker. Also, we didn't get a tennis court.
We don't play tennis.
We don't have a court. If you have a court, you'll learn.
The opening scene, the most annoying man in the world. You don't want to be the woman lying next to him. He knew how irritating the guy was, and there it is.
How come we let the moving company pack for us?
What?
Don't you think we should have done it ourselves? Maybe we're just being irresponsible.
You know, I don't believe you. One minute you're talking about a tennis court, and the next minute you're worried about the moving company packing a box. You know, my God, sometimes I wish we were a little more irresponsible.
What does that mean?
I think the opening scene is brilliant, and I think it's Julie acting and patience with him, which is the marriage. And she's quietly putting up with a high-maintenance guy, and it's conveyed in one scene because of her calm, because her eyes are so open and honest and earnest and welcoming. And there's a simplicity to her. I thought her clothes were fascinating. I thought her clothes made her a little unknowable. And I thought that she has this gorgeous hair, and it was up for the whole picture. She was distinctive.
How down is she? Down.
Come on, 20.
How down are you?
Down,
How much
down.
have you lost?
Everything.
As she has the night of going nuts and running through every cent they had in the world, she still has that gambling madness, and she plays it. And she plays it, and she looks nuts.
I've only gambled twice.
Twice?
This is the second time.
But having said that, forgiveness in a marriage is, when the wife does something unforgivable, that's examined in a very interesting way.
Things didn't go exactly like we had hoped, but if we're here together now after what happened, we're not going to split up. So that assurance makes me feel great, and I'm real happy for it.
Isn't that wonderful? I told you this would be a blessing.
Right.
It was loving and accepting of the journey, even when the journey was perilous and stuff like that.
Good morning.
I mean, there's a great thing in there when she just gives him a lavish compliment about his sexuality.
Last night was amazing.
And he does Stan Laurel with his finger that I just love for that reason. There's so many, I say, classic scenes in one movie, paying off the hotel clerk for a good room.
Why don't you just run it through one more time? Who knows?
There's variations on that joke about, the schmuck who, is trying to hand money over to somebody in authority. Puts every joke about that away because it just elongates it and examines it, and it's Albert.
Listen, I'm not good at this. I don't get good seats at games, and I've never gotten a ringside table, and it's just something I really don't know how to do. So, just to save time, how much do you want?
$100.
It's just poison for me to be analytical about a picture. It's just, I can't tell you. But the picture is so interesting.
Good luck. You got it.
This is it.
I mean, there's something in some of those long tracking shots when he's going down to what's going to be his firing, and you just see his woolly head in the center of the frame. I found that shot wildly breaking down the barriers. I mean, I felt like I was on that walk. And you get A Man Alone. You get that sort of Mad Men idea of an anguished soul in a commercial place.
Now listen to me. I must get what I deserve. This is completely unfair. I have been here too long a time. Please, make me senior vice president. Then I'll do what you want. You can't do this to me.
My God, I thought you'd be thrilled.
His firing scene, my jaw hangs open. You know, it's breathless. And you see a guy's life being changed.
Don't talk to me like that. I come from New York.
Yes, I know, and you don't want to go back there because as soon as you land, people steal everything you've got.
Now, I resent that. That's a cliche. New York is the greatest city there is.
Shut up, Brad. Your song stunk. I hate your suit, and I could hurt you.
David, that's enough.
I don't know that I've ever heard monologues with more internal jokes in my life. And they're all in character, and they all express something, and they all expose a truth of the time. And it's just like, you know, I'm a monologue fan. And this movie is just peppered with them.
Phil Shabano.
Why?
Phil Shabano. I don't know why, the underqualified son of a bitch. I'll tell you why, because life isn't fair. But you know what'll happen? It'll balance out. He'll buy that boat I've had to look at in that stupid catalog for 3 years, and he'll crash in Catalina and die, and seals will eat him.
Come on now, you like Phil.
So what? I'm just telling what might be. Fine, he won't die and he won't be eaten, but he'll never find his way back to the mainland.
You're talking about a speech that has a finish and maybe a payoff, but in between there are throwaway jokes so that you're missing, you know, it's just so that you're leaning forward because you know, you don't want to miss anything.
He'll tell you all about the future, how good the future's gonna be here.
Well, I've seen the future, and it's a bald man from New York.
The casino is our main means of income.
And it's casting. Very often some non-actors.
You see signs around this town with guys with guns shooting ducks. It's a gambling place.
Well, Gary Marshall, this was one of the killer performances ever, Gary, in this movie.
Now, you're a nice guy. You make me laugh and everything. But our policy is we can't give your money back. I'm real sorry.
I mean, everything just rose because when Gary says, look, you're a nice guy, you made me laugh, it's as complete as a moment can be.
A crossing guard?
A crossing guard.
At a school?
Where else have you seen them work?
I just didn't know if there were different kinds.
And by the way, archetypes, the way he shows the employment counselor who he talks to.
What does that pay?
$100,000.
Albert can hold people up to a critical lens and love them at the same time. And good, decent people, but biting them too. Biting them and feeding them with the same hand.
Did you see The Terminator?
No, I didn't. Heard about it, though.
You should see it. You look like it.
Thank you.
I think that's common in his movies, and I think that's common in his work and in his portrayal of himself. I don't think anybody's followed in Albert's path. And I think it's because it's so personal. Always there are the truth tellers, always there are the incorruptible people making personal films, making films that only they could make. It will always happen, thank God, but Albert is incorruptible.